Okay, so what I want to talk about today is a really great way that you can go about creating tension, harmonic tension, and harmonic variety when playing over a stagnant minor chord. So let's say you're playing over D minor 7. Maybe you have to play over D minor 7 for 16 bars. Maybe it's a tune like Impressions, like the jazz standard Impressions, or So What, something like that. Or maybe you're just playing over D minor 7 and you're going to take a pretty long solo. Um, One really excellent way to create variety when playing over that type of stagnant minor chord is to think about the 5 chord of the minor chord you're playing on. So let's say you're playing on D minor 7, thinking about A7. So in this video, I want to present 4 different A7 5 chord dominant options that you can use when playing over a stagnant minor chord. So 4 different A7 dominant options when playing over D minor 7. Or if it was C minor 7, they would be G7, 5 chord dominant options when playing over a stagnant minor chord. Okay, so the first option I want to talk about is the whole tone scale. So thinking about A7 whole tone or A whole tone when playing D minor over a D minor chord. So here's just some whole tone, A whole tone noodling. Okay, so the next sound I want to talk about is Messiaen Mode VI, which can kind of be thought of as an extended whole tone scale. It's an 8-note scale, and the notes that you add, which make it different from the whole tone scale, are the natural 4 and the natural 7. So you could think of it as A whole tone and add the notes D and G sharp. So that's one way of thinking about it, a whole tone scale with the 4 and the 7 added, natural 4 and the natural 7 added. So let's explore that sound. Again, I'm just going to noodle around with those notes in mind. Okay, so the third sound out of these 4 sounds that I want to talk about is what I would call an altered bebop scale. So let's think root A, altered bebop. So the difference between just the regular altered scale, that 7-note scale, and the altered bebop scale is we're going to add one more note and it's going to be the natural 7. So it's like an A altered scale, but we're going to add G sharp. And now I'm just going to noodle around with that group of notes in mind. Okay, so the last sound I want to talk about is what I would call an augmented dominant sound. And it's actually the third Messiaen mode, but the way I think of it is A7, C sharp 7, and F7. So those 3 dominant chords, augmented dominant, dominant separated by major thirds, right? When you combine those 3 7th chords, you get a 9-note scale, which is the Messiaen mode. But I'm not really thinking about that scale at all. I'm just thinking about playing those 3 different 7th chords. So like, right? So yeah, I'll mess around with those for a little bit and see what comes out. Okay, so those are 4 great options that you can use when employing that 5 chord over a stagnant minor chord superimposition. Um, they can also be combined. They don't have to be separated. Like you don't have to do, okay, now I'm going to do whole tone. Now I'm going to, you can switch back and forth with them. Think of, putting them all in a blender together where they're all just sort of this mess of color that can be really cool. There's a million different ways you can go about combining them and combining them with D minor oriented sounds. Again, you don't have to separate the 5 chord sounds with the minor chord sounds. They can all be put together in one big gumbo of color.